Hello everyone, International Rations here again, and today what I have for you is this US First Strike Ration. This is a 24-hour ration, and it says it contains an entire day's food formulated to help you perform at your peak and complete your mission. This one in particular is a menu number 5, sandwich honey barbecue chicken and tuna lemon pepper. It's packed by Sopaco and it's wrapped in a clear bag. I believe all First Strike rations are wrapped like this as opposed to the normal brown MRE plastic bag wrapping. As you can see some of your components, but most of them are pretty much obscured. I don't exactly know what we're going to have in here since it doesn't have a full contents list. I'm going to be as surprised as you. And without any further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into this. Alright, and then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I heard that these are handed out basically at the beginning of an invasion. And they are meant to sustain a soldier for 24 hours with light and well-packed food. Let's go ahead and see what we got. Alright, first up is this filled French toast, shelf stable. This will probably be for breakfast. Alright, next we have a chocolate protein drink powder, and this is the more modern style, I believe, of pouch, where it has the zipper. Alright, next up we have this teriyaki beef stick, packed in a rather large pouch. Alright, next up we have a honey barbecued chicken in bread. We have some barbecue corn nuggets. We have another drink. This one is a beverage-based powder grape. Alright, we have some regular MRE crackers. We have a brown paper bag here. Alright, it looks like this is some sort of a waste bag for all of your trash. We have a chocolate chip toaster pastry. Alright, it looks like we have some sort of an accessory pack. I'm going to go ahead and open that up right now, see what we have. Alright, and here we go. We have a package of fat-free mayonnaise. I don't typically have mayonnaise on my sandwiches, but I'll probably be trying it today. We have a package of mixed berry energy gel. I believe this is caffeinated to keep your energy levels up. Alright. We have a package of peanut butter, as you can see there. Alright, and last thing we have here is an MEG. This is military or Militech energy gum. 100 milligrams of caffeine per pieces, and there's 5 pieces. So that's 500 milligrams, not counting the energy gel that they also include. We have some nut raisin mix. We have a package of cinnamon zapple sauce or applesauce. We have a First Strike nutritious energy bar. This one is a cran raspberry flavor. We have what appears to be a regular MRE spoon. Alright, we have a Nutrition Facts cardboard cutout of our chicken breast fillet, seasoned with garlic and herbs. Alright, I believe this would be the actual chicken breast itself. Alright, and here's our second accessory packet. Looks like this is what's included in the normal MREs. Let's go ahead and open that up. Alright, we have a package of gum. I believe this is regular and not caffeinated. We have a package of iodized salt. We have a package of toilet paper or napkins, however you like to use those. We have a pack of matches. We have 3 moist towelettes. Alright, and as you can see, that's everything concluded for the ration. Unfortunately, they give you a lot of caffeinated products, but I don't see any hot drink like coffee or even a tea, aside from the hot chocolate, which isn't really a caffeinated breakfast item. Personally, I'd probably rather have a coffee than just chew some energy gum, but they are trying to travel light and fast in this ration, I believe, so it makes sense they don't really want you to stop to make coffee, and they'd rather you just eat some energy gel or some of this caffeinated gum. But I'm going to go ahead and select what I want for breakfast, and then I'll see you there. Alright, welcome back. I've selected my items for breakfast. First up is going to be this filled French toast shelf stable. I'm just going to go ahead and get everything plated right now. Alright, so this looks more or less like a, whatchamacallit, a Pop-Tart, I believe it would be. Let's go ahead and open up this Cran Raspberry First Strike Nutritious Energy Bar. This is the Cran Raspberry flavor. I've had a couple of these before, and I've mostly liked them, so hopefully this isn't going to be any different today. Next up is this single teriyaki beef stick. Alright, and seems kind of like wasteful packaging as we just have another one stuck in here. This one is from Grayson Natural Farms. Might as well go ahead and keep that wrapped up. Next up, we have this Military Energy Gum, or Militech Energy Gum. This has 100 milligrams of caffeine per piece, and they say it's actually available at Amazon, so that's funny enough. They're kind of advertising to the soldiers just in case they like it, I guess. Alright. I'll probably only be having one piece since this is a lot of caffeine here. You can always save it for later. Alright, and last but not least is this chocolate drink powder. I'm going to go ahead and get this filled up right now. Alright, and this says to pour 8 ounces of cold water in it. So I went ahead and grabbed that. This is water from the fridge, but if you're invading a cold environment, you probably won't have a luxury of cold water. So hopefully this would work even with more warm or hot water. Alright, let's try not to get this too messy. Alright, I think that should be shaken enough. In a military environment, you'd probably have no trouble just drinking this right out of the bag, but since I'm filming, I'm going to go ahead and pour this into my glass here. Very nice, thick, kind of chocolate milk looking substance. Doesn't look like too much powder was left behind. Alright, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and try our cold drink. That has definitely not been properly mixed yet, so I'm going to go ahead and grab our spoon, mix it up, and then I will be right back. Alright, so here we go. I think this is about as mixed as I can get it just by stirring it. Still doesn't seem like it's mixed that well, but I'm going to go ahead and try it again. I wouldn't say it tastes like chocolate milk. I would say it tastes probably more like a protein shake type of thing than chocolate milk. Overall, it's actually not too bad, and it did actually get mixed fairly well there. I'll definitely be finishing it up, and it's not a bad companion to the meal. Alright, next up, let's go ahead and try this teriyaki beef stick. Alright, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and say a quick prayer before we get into breakfast, and then I'll be trying this. Alright, here we go. Alright, so far I'm not really feeling any teriyaki flavor or any sort of spice to it. It's very sweet, and it tastes quite a bit like a gas station beef stick. Just something you get like a Jack Link's or something similar to that. I'm going to go ahead and try a couple bites again, and I'll see if I can get you a bit better of a description. Alright, so I went ahead and finished that beef stick, and I would say my original assessment was fairly accurate, at least in my mind. I don't think it really had any teriyaki flavor, and it was quite sweet. I would say it tasted more like a regular beef stick, or maybe even a honey beef stick. I went ahead and checked the ingredients, and it has 2 grams of sugar for 27 grams of beef stick, so it's actually a bit less sugar than I was expecting. Either way, though, it really did taste quite sweet, and it wasn't bad at all, but I wouldn't really say it was a teriyaki flavor. Without any further ado, though, let's go ahead and get right into this first strike. This is a cran raspberry energy bar. Alright, it's fairly tough and chewy. You can definitely taste the cranberry and the raspberry flavor. The little pieces of cornflakes or whatever those are add a nice bit of texture. Overall, it's pretty sweet, and it definitely does taste like a berry. And it's a quite good side. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. Alright, so I went ahead and finished with that cran raspberry bar, and I must say you could definitely get your jaw strength up if you chewed one of those every day. Next up is going to be our French or filled French toast. Let's go ahead and get this out of here. This is something to maintain freshness, I believe. All right, so I believe most people often eat Pop Tarts hot and toasted. They didn't include any sort of FRHs or anything like that in here, so if you want to heat any of your food, you just have to find a radiator or a microwave or anything like that. Probably not very many microwaves on the battlefield if you're going to be invading a country, but you might get lucky and be able to heat this on a radiator or something like that. Here is what it looks like inside. It looks like it's filled with some sort of cinnamon filling. I might have actually had one of these before. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and try this. Alright, so the outside bread shell is still quite soft and moist. The inside filling is sweet and overall a pretty pleasant filling. I wouldn't exactly say it's bursting with cinnamon flavor though. I believe that's what flavor the filling is. But I'm not really getting too terribly much of that. Overall, though, it's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and give you my final thoughts. Alright, so I went ahead and finished with that filled French toast, and overall it was pretty good. However, there was a large section in the back on the second half where it wasn't filled at all, and the bread in the center was quite dry, so that wasn't really the greatest part, but overall it was pretty good, and I'd try one again. It isn't the most healthy option, especially for breakfast. You'd think you'd want a lot of protein, and overall, I definitely agree. However, with that being said, a lot of sugar and carbohydrates would probably be very helpful if you're planning on exerting yourself quite a lot throughout the day, as you would in an invasion. But next up, let's go ahead and try some of this military energy gum. I don't believe I've had any caffeine this morning from any of the other items, so this is going to be 100 milligrams. I probably won't be trying any other gum since I don't want to get too hopped up on caffeine. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and try this. Alright, and it has a very unique flavor. It's almost kind of a cinnamon, but it's cut with a bit of bitterness that I would assume is from the caffeine. Alright, so overall, it's actually not a bad gum at all. It's definitely not the best flavor-wise gum that I've had, or even the best cinnamon gum that I've had. However, considering that that bitterness really cuts in from the caffeine, it doesn't taste too bad, and the cinnamon flavor is definitely there. And you can tell they're definitely trying to fight that bitterness by putting in a stronger cinnamon flavor. So overall, it's definitely not great, but it's not bad at all, considering it's more of a means to an end, which is to say, to introduce caffeine into your body to try to get you awake or to stay alert longer. So overall, it's definitely not a bad gum at all. I'll be finishing this up and then we'll be getting on to lunch. All right, here we go. I went ahead and grabbed what I wanted for lunch. What I have here is this beverage powder grape, this nut raisin mix, the honey barbecued chicken and bread, applesauce, some crackers, some peanut butter for the crackers, and this mixed berry energy gel. And I believe this is actually not caffeinated. I believe they have a caffeinated version, but I don't believe this particular one does have caffeine in it. Alright, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and get some of this plated up. First up, let's go ahead and prepare our beverage-based powder grape. Alright, and since this is the only drink we have left for lunch and dinner, I'm only going to be pouring part of it out. Alright, doesn't leave too much for dinner, but oh well. Alright, here we go without any further ado. actually has a bit more faint of a flavor than I was expecting. It's possible there's a lot of the powder still at the bottom. However, it does have a very purple hue to it. Overall, it's not bad. It has a fairly pleasant taste to it. It's really quite a light grape flavor, and overall, it's pretty good. It is fairly sweet, but I wouldn't say it's too sweet either. Without any further ado, though, let's go ahead and get into the rest of this. This is our honey barbecued chicken and bread, and I'm not sure if you're typically supposed to eat these hot. However, they didn't add an FRH into the ration, so I'm going to start eating this cold and then see if I want to eat it warm and get it heated up. Alright, we have a do not eat here. Won't be eating that. And then, as you can see, it's very true to its name. I was expecting more of a sandwich, but it looks like it's completely encased in the bread. This is our nut raisin mix. I'm going to go ahead and pour it into here. Alright, it has one of those internal layers to preserve freshness. Alright, and I see now that the pan-coated chocolate discs are basically M&Ms that don't have the M on them, so I'm guessing there's some sort of a copy that isn't licensed. Alright, and then let's go ahead and open up these crackers as well. Alright, there we go. That wasn't the easiest package to open ever, but looks like we got it out. They're kind of breaking apart quite a bit here. Alright, there we go. We'll probably save the other square for supper. Alright, next up is this Zapple sauce. Smells like cinnamon applesauce, and I believe I've had this before. I'm going to go ahead and just put this into this circular little tray here. Alright, as you can see, it has a much more brown hue compared to regular applesauce. Presumably that's because of the cinnamon, but it also might be some sort of food dye or something like that. I'll just go ahead and set that to the side. Alright. We also have this wild berry energy gel. I think I might go ahead and save that for later though. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and try this. I'm going to go ahead and say a quick prayer and then we'll get right into this. Alright, first up I'm going to go in for a handful of this trail mix. It's pretty good. It's not the most flavorful I've ever had, and it seems to be unsalted, so if you prefer salted trail mix, you're kind of out of luck. However, that might be to combat thirst. Overall, it's a pretty good trail mix and something you'd be able to get a very identical package of at the gas station or at your local grocery store. Next up, let's go ahead and try a little bit of this cracker and peanut butter. Alright, so it feels like this has definitely separated a bit because we have a more softer kind of oily part here at the bottom. And then we have a much more firm part here. So I'm going to go ahead and knead this and try to get it somewhat back into mixed form. Alright, I think that's been kneaded fairly well. Let's see if I can open it without a knife. Alright, here we go. Let's try a little without the cracker first. I believe I've had this before as well. Alright, and that's actually quite a tasty peanut butter. It actually has a bit of a hint of kind of a roasted flavor to it. I'm going to go ahead and try a little bit of this cracker without any peanut butter first. Alright, and it's a very regular cracker and it really doesn't have too much flavor of its own, but I think it'll really hit the spot with a little bit of this peanut butter. And as I predicted, it's really quite good with the peanut butter. I would say the peanut butter really helps the rather lacking flavor of the crackers. They're not bad by any margin, but they don't really have a flavor of their own, and it's really up to whatever you put on them to kind of carry the flavor. Overall, though, it's a really good treat. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then we will get it onto the applesauce. Alright, so that peanut butter can really gum your mouth up, so I'm going to go ahead and take a little break from that and go ahead and try some of this Zapple sauce. I just wanted to mention it does indeed say roasted peanuts, So that's why I was picking up on a bit of a roasted flavor, and it's really quite good. I'm going to go ahead and clean the spoon off, and then we'll try some of this applesauce. All right, here we go. Let's try a little bit of this applesauce. All right, and that is incredibly sweet, and it has a very strong cinnamon flavor. I'm gonna go ahead and try another bite. It's almost too sweet here. And yeah, it has a very strong, extremely strong kind of sweetness flavor to it. Has kind of, I don't know quite how to describe it. It's not entirely a sweet flavor. It almost has a little bit of a sour, maybe a bit of a sour apple flavor to it as well. It's very strong, and it's not really my favorite, but it is applesauce, and do quite like applesauce, so it's not a bad dish at all. However, I would say I have had better cinnamon applesauce and applesauce in general. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then we should be ready for the main course. All right, here we go. Without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and just split this sandwich open here. All right, so there's what it looks like inside. I'm going to go ahead and take a bite, but I'll probably end up heating this up. All right, so far it's not too bad cold. It has a pretty good flavor to it so far. I'm going to go ahead and take another bite here. All right, so it definitely doesn't taste like crazy fresh or incredible quality pulled pork or anything like that. So far, though, it's not bad at all. I'm going to go ahead and probably heat this up, and then I will see how it tastes hot and then give a final review. All right, so I went ahead and heated that up, and then I let it cool while I was eating some trail mix. Still pretty warm, but it should be just about the right temperature to eat. So I'm going to go ahead and try this and see if it's any better when it's hot. All right, so I definitely say it's a lot better when it's hot. It has a much more pulled pork flavor to it when it's warm. When it's cold, it really doesn't have too much bursting flavor. But when it's hot, it's not incredible, but it's still quite good, and it's much better than it would be cold. Like I mentioned, there's no included FRHs, at least not in this particular First Strike ration. So unless you could source one from somewhere else, or you were able to build a fire or something like that, heat it on a radiator like I mentioned, there wouldn't otherwise be any way for you to heat these unless you got resourceful. However, I will say if you were able to, it would be worth it because they're a lot better when they're hot. Alright, so I went ahead and finished up that sandwich, and well, it's not quite up to the quality that you would get, say, at a food truck or something like that. I am impressed how they were able to keep it fairly well preserved, and it was actually fairly moist. It wasn't too dry, which you would expect, and the bread wasn't too soggy either, so they were able to keep that fairly separate somehow. Overall, it was pretty well put together, and I actually think having it entirely encased in bread was actually a pretty good idea, because if you have a classic sandwich and you're trying to eat it on while you're walking on the run, or even just sitting down, it can get very messy very easily, especially something like pulled pork. Then you'll be dropping your pork on the floor, or rather on the ground. It's overall just not a great idea, especially for a fast moving, lightweight MRE, or a ration rather. This is technically an FSR rather than an MRE. But overall, I thought the design was pretty good, and it was more conducive to being on the move and fast, and it was still pretty good. Like I said, it wasn't the best, and you'd be a bit disappointed if you got it at a food truck or a restaurant or something, but overall, it was pretty good. All right, next up, let's go ahead and get into this mixed berry energy gel. Let's go ahead and open this right up. It is worth noting that they only included one MRE spoon as your utensils, which is pretty much fine since everything here you could pretty much eat right out of the package, and everything is mostly handheld. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and try this energy gel. All right. I tried to knead it a bit, but clearly I wasn't successful. As you can see, there's quite a bit of separation there. Let's go ahead and try this and see how it is. All right. I have to be honest, that is very strange. It tastes extremely artificial, which I'm sure it is. It is a energy gel, after all. Kind of a strange component you definitely don't see every day, especially in other rations. I'm not sure if the US is the only country that does this, but certainly the only that I've noticed so far. I'm going to go ahead and try to knead this until it's a little bit more homogeneous, and then I'll try and see if that improves it a bit. Alright, that's honestly probably as well needed as it's ever going to get. So let's go ahead and do one last taste test. Alright, and there we go. It's actually quite homogeneous there. Probably won't taste too much better, but I'll go ahead and give this a taste. Alright, and the taste is pretty much the same, although the texture is a little bit better, especially better than when it was just coming out as one really big solid blob. It's quite unsettling to eat it that way, and while it's not that much better this way, it is a bit better. It's probably best to just try and throw this back and then wash it down as quickly as you can. Probably one of my least favorite components so far. It's just overall very strange and has a pretty terrible taste and texture, if I'm going to be honest. Everything else was pretty good, except for that gel. It was just very strange and the flavor just wasn't there. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the drink and the peanut butter and cracker, and I'll see you at supper. Alright, so here we are at supper. What I've selected is a chocolate chip toaster pastry for dessert, these barbecue corn nuggets, and this chicken breast filet, seasoned garlic and herb. We also have this fat-free mayonnaise. One thing I would like to mention is, if I remember right, the bag said we would have a tuna dish with this. However, this is a chicken breast filet, so that's quite interesting. Without any further ado, I might as well go ahead and open this up and get it on the plate. Alright, and here it is. Alright, there we go. It actually looks like a pretty nice chicken breast. Let's go ahead and open up this pastry. Alright, there we go. As you can see, it has a bit of a chocolate drizzle or something like that there. Last up are these barbecue corn nuggets. They have a bit of a barbecue smell to them. Alright, here we go. Without any further ado, I'm going to say a quick prayer and we'll get right into this. Alright, one thing to mention is they only included 2 drinks, and I finished off the last of that grape drink from lunch, so I'm just going to go ahead and drink water with this. Alright, let's go ahead and try these barbecue corn nuggets. Alright, they're actually pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and give these another try. And I actually really quite like those. They don't have too strong of a barbecue flavor, but it's definitely there. And they taste almost sort of like a fried corn, if that makes any sense. Very unique flavor and texture. It's very crunchy. Overall, though, I really do like them. I'll definitely be finishing them, but before that, let's go ahead and take a bite out of this chicken breast. I find it very odd that they would send a chicken breast along without any sort of way to heat it, so I'm just going to go ahead and take a small bite of this, but I'll probably be heating it. Alright, here we go. Let's actually try to get a little bit more meat and less skin. Alright, here we go. It feels rather weird eating a cold chicken breast, but overall it's not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. I definitely have no trouble finishing this. It's actually not bad at all, even when it's cold. I will take another bite or two, but after that I will be heating it and we'll see if it's any different when it's hot. Alright, so here's our heated chicken breast. Let's go ahead and give this another try. That's actually a pretty good piece of chicken. It's quite well seasoned. I don't feel the need to add any salt or pepper or anything like that. With that being said, they didn't actually send any pepper, only salt. But overall, I think it's seasoned quite well. I'm going to go ahead and give it another bite. Alright, and while it is definitely edible cold, it is a lot better hot. I'm not sure if I would say it's quite restaurant grade, but I definitely wouldn't complain getting served this at a restaurant. Overall, it's quite a good chicken breast, and I'll definitely be finishing it. Alright, after finishing this chicken breast, I just realized I completely forgot to review this mayonnaise. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it up and give it a bit of a try. I've never really liked mayonnaise that much, so I probably wouldn't expect this to be any different. One thing I will mention is this does contain egg, as mayonnaise usually does, which is interesting. I'm sure that complicates the preservation process for this, since typically egg doesn't last that long, and it's also supposed to be refrigerated. So without any further ado, I'm just going to put a little bit on the spoon, and then see how it tastes. Well, it tastes like mayonnaise. If you like mayonnaise, you'll probably like it. However, I never really had, so I can't really give it a fair review, since I don't really know what's a good mayonnaise and what's not, because I just don't like any mayonnaise. Overall, though, it seems fine, so I'm just going to go ahead and set that aside and finish up with our sides. Then I will be moving on to this chocolate chip. Let's see, chocolate chip toaster pastry. Alright, so here we are. I finished up with the main course and the sides. Let's go ahead and try this chocolate chip toaster pastry. This also seems to be filled with something. I'm not sure if that's chocolate or cinnamon or what it is. Without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and try this and we can find out. Alright, so that's definitely a chocolate filling. Overall, it's pretty good. It's quite sweet and it's still fairly moist, although it is a little bit drier than some of the other ones I've had in the past, if memory serves. Overall, though, it's quite good. I'm going to go ahead and give this another bite, see if my mind changes. Alright, so it is definitely a bit dry. Between the peanut butter and this toaster pastry, you're definitely going to hope you have some water or some sort of drink with it. Overall, it's not bad at all. It's pretty sweet. The only thing that's really a problem, a slight problem that is it is quite a bit on the dry side. Overall, though, it's pretty good, and I'll definitely be finishing it. Alright, but that about does it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did, go ahead and give it a like and a comment. If you didn't like the video, go ahead and give it a dislike and a comment with some constructive criticism on how I could improve. If you want to see rations like this in the future, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're notified whenever I have a new video. In the future, I believe the next video is going to be a Polish single meal ration, so I'm really looking forward to that. It'll definitely be shifting gears from America to Poland, so I'm really looking forward to that. After that, in the future, we have some really exciting rations planned, so I hope you're looking forward to those as much as I am, and I hope to see you there.